Hey, good day, my YouTube friends. Yes, it's time. It's time to get back to the Rat Rod Radio Flyer go-karting. We got a lot of work to do. It's just kind of a pile of parts right now, but stick around and let's talk about what it's going to take to get this thing back together again. Here we have one of the stars of one of my earliest long-term projects here on YouTube. My channel will be 10 years old come March of 2025, and this was probably the biggest first project I did, and that was before I could truly financially justify a project car. So I built this Rat Rod Radio Flyer Go-Kart. This Radio Flyer wagon came out of my grandmother's shed, woodshed, and bought a 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton off of Craigslist, and we got it going, and it was a fun little thing. We did some little improvements along the way, moved up to a torque converter, but the last time I had it out, we had some serious issues with it. But before we get there, if you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Grant Tommy. This is Straight Six Fan, your home for offbeat hot rodding, and my off-camera, my 1979 Pontiac Grand Prix is wrapped up, and so we're looking for other things to do. And honestly, that was the last time I touched the Rat Rod Radio Flyer, was when I sold the Fairmont before I bought the Grand Prix. And one of the biggest issues last time I had the go-kart out was steering. I've got a serious steering issue, and so I decided I was going to redo that in between when right after I sold my Fairmont, and then I kind of just I bought the Grand Prix too soon thereafter, and I never got to it. So now is the time to right all those wrongs. And look, if you want to get to know the Rat Rod Radio Flyer in great detail, like, I'm not going to do a full breakdown here on this episode because, well, there are tons and tons of episodes here on my channel. So I, of course, will put a link, an info card here to the playlist for everything Rat Rod Radio Flyer wagon go-kart themed, so you can go get caught up on that. But let me just take a moment to walk you through what's in store for, I guess we'll call this, like, it's basically version 4.0 at this point. As mentioned, there's my offbeat hot rod, my 79 Pontiac Grand Prix, and I like to call it offbeat hot rodding because we take the we'll call them not even B-level, maybe C-level cars, and try to make something cool out of them. But it's all an effort to get people into the hobby of hot rodding and try to eliminate excuses like maybe you don't have like the biggest budget. And so again, that's what makes this project so good, because it's a good way to help people build their confidence, helping you build your hot rod and your confidence really at the same time. Because the stakes are low, you can, some of my earliest welding took place on this project, and I don't want to get in too close because it is really, really, really embarrassing. But hey, it's a go-kart. So, as I mentioned, we had spindles at one point in time, but so basically, as you can imagine, having a front engine go-kart and putting my 190-pound rear end right over the wheels, you're going to be fighting understeer quite a bit. And I honestly thought I had a decent steering. The first time I had this new axle on, this is one of those mods along the way. I had the first generation of this go-kart had a different axle, but we did the whole Ackerman principle where we tilted our spindles back 10 degrees, and then we had, these guys came back and did that number. But the first time I had it out, I made a slow mile-per-hour turn, and it was fairly tight. If I can clip it in here, I will. But the last time I had it out, we were just fighting understeer, and so we are going to redo the spindles. I also, somewhere along the way, built a little on this steering arm, steering arm, but steering shaft. There we go. Used to have a lot of play in it. I built a loop in it down here to kind of control that madness. Because what would happen too is like I would turn so sharp and it wouldn't do anything. Well, then it would eventually get like to here, and the steering would fold over on itself. So I've built in limits now where that can't go any further. So we're going to be redoing steering there. The other thing, last time I had it out, was the motor kept stalling. And my theory was that even though I have a header wrap here, I think I was vapor locking the gas. And so I was going to just cut this notch in the gas tank to help reduce the amount of like heat that gets transferred from my header to the gas tank. But then I realized after I cut this open, it's galvanized on the inside. And yeah, I can soak this in muriatic acid and do all those things. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know, there's no cool enough gas tank for a go-kart that you can make that's worth getting cancer over. So also to help with the steering issue, it just reminded me, it jogged my memory. It reminded me that what I really wanted to do is I bought a Mikuni knockoff here, and what this new carb system is going to allow me to do, not only is it going to give me better throttle response because of the style of this carburetor, but it's going to allow me to run a fuel tank elsewhere. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a fuel tank, probably be like a cylinder, and I'm going to move it to the front of the motor so we can put more weight over the front axle. Again, it's not going to be that much. I mean, you're only talking about like 2 quarts worth of gas, but and then also along the way I bought this on eBay a long time ago. I bought this Boland's grill, and what I want to do there is it's going to do like 2 things. One, it's going to protect this steering arm, you know, because this is a pretty low to the ground go-kart. So like this is going to help protect that steering arm from getting beat up. And then 2, this will kind of serve almost like, it'll look like a radiator or a front, you know, grill. And the gas tank will live back behind here and be in front of this motor. So give me a second and I'll kind of mock that up so you can see what's in my head. Alright, so this motor is positioned about where it wants to be. So again, gone will be this tank and this carb setup. New carb will live somewhere right about here. We can run fuel lines. This grill will live out here. And then we'll find a nice cylindrical, we'll build some bracketry to help host the grill up here, and then we will get a fuel tank that can live up here as well. And so again, I think that'll, and then honestly I may consider at that point, once this is all set up, we may look at redoing my footrests, because they're kind of limited, right? Like everything's nice and tight here. But depending on how the throttle gets set up, we may move my footrest further up, so that way we can get the weight of at least like your ankles and your feet further up, and hopefully that all in turn helps with steering. But I wish I had real work to show you guys. It's just summer has been busy. I just got that carburetor in the mail this past week. Summer, you know, like you're always traveling somewhere, it seems. So unfortunately all you get is this preview episode into what's to come on the channel. For those of you who've been following me for the longest time, you'll remember this project, and maybe there's some nostalgia there. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. To all my 6 fans out there, thanks for watching.